And good evening. Welcome everybody to a special Monday night IncrediChat here. We're doing some cool experimentation now too, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we're also live on the wonderful world of Instagram, which will be a first timer for us here. So tonight, what we're gonna do, we got some really cool guests. We got two guests tonight, but they're one team, and we're gonna talk about the upcoming 90's Con, which is coming up in Hartford, Connecticut this upcoming weekend. This is the third annual 90's Con, but I want to say third. They did one, I think, down in Miami, and I think they're going to do more in Miami. But anyways, without further ado, they have their own podcast, Dillo's Diz. They do pop culture, Disney stuff, but the sibling duo, Frank and Jen.
Yay!
Hello.
Hello.
We're here. And guys, I have to say, I think we're working on Instagram too. So I have no idea.
We love experiments.
Yes, we love trying new technology because we're horrible at it. So,
so guys, if people are watching I'm just looking at my Instagram thing. I don't see anything live on there. Something saying it's on, but anyways, we got some people watching. Welcome to IncrediChat, guys. It is fun to have you on here. And from one podcaster to another, welcome. So tell us a little bit about yourselves and what your podcast is, just so people who are watching here can check you out and your guys can check us out too.
Well, we first started as Dillo's Diz, thinking we were going to be bloggers like 12, 15 years ago, something, who knows how long ago it really was. And when we had kids and we started revisiting Walt Disney World from kind of the mindset of parents, I talked to Jen into podcasting. I had started getting into podcasting as a way to save money because producing theater became too expensive in New York City. So I started podcasting and talked Jen into this idea of Theme Park Thursday. At the time, I was doing an improv-based podcast 5 days a week or 4 days a week. I don't remember anymore. But Theme Park Thursday is the one that really stuck, and people started getting drawn to it. So Jen and I are siblings. We're 7.5 years apart in age. We both worked at Walt Disney World. I was there in the mid to late 90's. Jen was an operating participant in Epcot during the 2000s. And so we talk a little bit about the past, visiting as kids. We talk a little bit about our time working there in 2 different decades. And we talk about the present day. Yeah.
That's great. So, I mean, I think you guys just brought that up. What did you guys do exactly at Disney? That's cool. I couldn't even imagine what it'd be like to work at Disney.
So as an operating participant, I was third party, and I worked in Innoventions West and Epcot at the IBM exhibit.
Gotcha.
So we kind of just demonstrated cutting edge IBM technology in the early 2000s, like via voice recognition, and there's video games that you could play, and we had like the desktops and the laptops all out on display. So people would think that they could come in and like buy a laptop sometimes, like, oh, these are great. Can I get? I'm like, oh no, we're just showing them to you. But I did get to wear a Disney name tag. So to guests, I was still Disney, and I got to work in Epcot. So that was amazing. So
yeah. And I worked over at what is now Hollywood Studios. I was in the entertainment department. I did some of the parades. I worked with some of your favorite taller characters there at Hollywood Studios. So Goofy, Woody, the genie from Aladdin. I worked very, very, very closely with them.
That's great. Wink.
How
about, did you work with Sweetums?
It's a sad tale, but I was just a little short to be to work with Sweetums, though I tried on many occasion when Sweetums wasn't feeling up to it. I was like, I'm here. Do you need me?
Sweetums stand-in, if you will, right?
Oh man, I would have loved to have done that. Yes, it would have been. It's like that would have been a bucket. That and never being in the Spectral Magic Parade are like my two 90's based wish list bucket items I never got to do.
Mm-hmm. And our theme tonight is the 90's and 90's Con and all that great stuff. But let's focus on that period of 90's, right? And we're talking about like these Disney parks, like, and you mentioned what was well, what is now what the it's Disney Hollywood Studios now. It's been so many
Right.
different things.
To us, it's always MGM. So
Correct, and and I mean, what a magical time. And I see people posted, like, I know you guys were talking about my Kermit and my
Mhm.
animal pop here. And the Muppets were such a big part of the Disney studio, or the Disney MGM studios back
yeah.
there. 'Cause obviously, as you guys know, and a lot of people watching, that was the Muppet Vision 3D, and there were two stage shows that they had there. Here Come the Muppets, and was it the whatever Days of Swine Roses,
That's
which was
right.
right outside the Muppet Theater. But the Muppets played a huge factor in there, and outside of the Muppets, you had Ninja Turtles were there,
Mhm.
Tom and Jerry were there.
Mhm.
They were filming. I mean, they had talking about 90's Con. The first 90's Con, they had the gang from the Mickey Mouse Club there, who are
Yep.
Oh
just
yeah.
a fantastic group of people. So I mean the amazingness that was the Disney MGM Studios.
No,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, for me, I was, 14, 15 when the park opened, and I don't know if I still would have been into Walt Disney World if that park didn't open, because
Yeah,
then, at the time, Jen and I were both into the all new Mickey Mouse Club for different
yeah,
reasons, and watched that, religiously. But for me, first it was the Star Wars component, and then the Muppets component. They were adding all these things from like direct from my childhood, and now they were these tangible things at the studios. And then to work there just a couple of years later, like 4 or 5 years later, was it just it blew my mind.
yeah. And I mean, for the Disney company, you just think about, and Disney specifically, but so many of the other networks. The 90's is such a iconic time.
Mhm.
Like we mentioned the Mickey Mouse Club,
Yeah.
but you think about growing up in the 90's, like definitely towards the late 80's, but early 90's, you came home and what was on TV? It was the Disney Afternoon. Everybody watched it.
Mhm.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
we,
No,
we all we all grew up with it.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
DuckTales and Tailspin, and
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like Saturday mornings, I would say even that's a little 80's too. But like we the original Muppet Babies and the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, like
Mhm.
that like led into all of that for us. And
Gummy
Yeah.
bears
oh yeah,
Gummy bears. Yeah.
bouncing here and there.
Gummy bears. Yeah.
So we're going into 90's Con. Let's talk about some of our favorite 90's things. We did talk about the Disney aspect of it, but
Mhm.
and again, we all were young people at that point in time, watching television after school Saturday mornings. TGIF, right? That was such a big thing.
Yeah.
Um, so what do you think the appeal of that time period is, that it's still, I mean, obviously everybody our age loved it, but
Yeah.
there's still something about it.
well, I mean, I'll just quickly
Yeah.
say, and I
Yeah.
just read something on it today. I don't somebody posted this on the artist formerly known as Twitter, but it was 90210 related, and Jen and I were both big into Beverly Hills
Mhm.
90210, and but it was about how the youth of America, or what have you, were finally the bigger audience watching TV, where
Mhm.
for years and years and years it was your parents or your grandparents watching, after the kids went to bed, kind of thing. But now the 90's kind of had that. Now it's for kids. And that stuck with me all day. I was thinking about it, and I think it's true. You talk about Saved by the Bell, you talk about 90210. Jen was younger than me, so she was very big into Full House, and
Mhm.
the whole Friday night lineup there. So that is where our age range is, and I think that's why the 90's speak to us that way, because we can draw on different things about that time period that really make it what it was. Where the 80's felt like you got a lot of nostalgia for the 50's, and the 90's felt like its own thing, like the 60's felt like its own thing, and
Yeah.
that's the way I see it.
Yeah, I mean, I also wonder if there's like, I know they whoever they are tend to say that, all of us adults now are so nostalgic and we're like extra nostalgic. And now you have TikTok, and when you're on TikTok, the nostalgia on TikTok is always what hits. I mean, everybody wants to go back and watch the old commercials and see the old toys and do
You're right.
all of that. And I wonder if there's a piece of it that like that was really the last chunk of time before internet and things just blew up technology wise, where we were still all playing outside. We were watching these shows, but there you had to wait around for the shows. You couldn't just pick it from an app. You had to wait for, Friday night, and Friday night was that awesome TGIF lineup, and Saturday morning meant cartoons, and everything kind of had its place. And in between, we got to play with these amazing toys from the 80s and 90s, and like that was awesome. So I don't know if there's a piece of that as well, but yeah, the all new Mickey Mouse Club members that were at the first 90s con, that's what got us into 90s con. And it's been so cool, because for us it was kind of like our first type of con of any kind, and I think it was a good introduction to them for us. But it's been very cool to see that kind of community, because I also think the 90s changed so much with music. And you had the end of the 90s having so much of the pop, where the early 90s still had a little bit more of the TV aspect and grunge music and all of that, but things changed over time. But I don't know, it's just a good time.
And it's funny you mentioned them. I keep going back to the Mickey Mouse Club. They were those guys are phenomenal. I'm fortunate to know a few of them. But did you guys get to go to the not the Deep Plate, the MMC 30 in Orlando? You guys were not there.
No, God, it hurts us. And I mean, I think after we didn't
party
go
that was, I was there.
Yeah.
and I think it hurts us so much that we didn't go there, which is why like we went to the party reunion concert they did in 2021 at the House of Blues.
Yeah.
And then like as soon as it came up in 90s, I was like, well, this is it. This is everything right here.
Yeah, no, phenomenal stuff. But you're right. I like what you said. It was pre-internet, pre-technology.
Mm-hmm.
I like when Lewis Davidson is watching. I'm just going to put this up here. He put yes, in the 90s, the concept of the good old day. I guess, but like I guess in the 90s, our good old day was Happy Days, right?
Right.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The Fonz, Richie Cunningham. We think that's what it was.
Yeah.
And then he wrote like every generation has this concept of how it's better in the past. So we're talking 90s, and I know 90s con. So what I used to do, I don't know if anybody else did this. Before it was free long distance either. I used to call the different studios and get things in the mail.
Nice.
That's
awesome.
My parents killed me, so they were not happy. But just because you're talking about TGIF, and this one's not a TGIF show, but here's one. They would send out either pre-printed autograph photos. Once in a while, I'd get like a cool autograph, or sometimes it's pictured in. But a lot of time, it was just like the 8x10 press pictures. So here I'm gonna throw. This is a 90s one. Not a big show for me. I kind of liked Nev Campbell back in the day, but there's Party.
Very nice.
Oh, that's a good one.
Very cool. Yeah.
One of their cool things. I guess for you, what were your 90s shows? What was like your we've all established we love MMC. So if any of those MMC fans, we love you guys, and you guys are awesome. But what are some of your other key 90s shows that really like hit the mark for you? Because I know you mentioned Full House, and the thing is, some of these things come back. That's crazy thing where we are right now. Everything's coming back.
I think Boy Meets World for me was pretty big, and which is funny because then I was very excited for Girl Meets World when it came back a little bit. And now my kids have watched Girl Meets World and now are going back to watch Boy Meets World now that they know the characters and they want to see them as kids. So that's been cool. Blossom was very big for me too in the 90s, which that would be amazing to just kind of get them together at 90s Con.
I would love to see them. I have
Ooh, do you have a Blossom? Let me think. I'm trying to think of other. I'm trying to think what was on TGIF. Full House, Boy Meets World for a time. Step by Step was on there.
Oh yeah, nice.
They're sick.
Nice. Love it.
It took a while to get to.
When was My Two Dads technically early 90s, or was that late 80s?
And you're talking about not My Two Dads, like of course, who the hell remembers My Two Dads?
Yeah.
but for everybody attending 90s Con, you're gonna have Stacey Keenan's gonna be here.
That's right. Yep.
That's kind of cool. Don't sleep on that. That's
yeah. That's so cool. Especially she's a lawyer now, right? I think she is.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
a district attorney. I'm pretty sure. If I'm quoting Pod Meets World correctly, because they had her on, but they'll
Really?
often talk about that. Yeah, I think she is crazy.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
met her years ago. She was great a couple years ago. There's you guys probably know Chiller Theater in Jersey. You've heard of
Oh,
the
yeah.
Chiller Theater?
Yeah.
It's another convention. But yeah, they have like all kinds of cool pop culture. They go deep into the worlds of horror and stuff. But
Right.
Yeah.
I met years ago. Stacey Keenan was there, so she was great, and I'm looking forward to seeing her again this weekend.
Yeah,
that's cool.
very cool. Yeah.
I think, for me, like I mentioned 90210, but the
yeah,
X-Files was big for me in the mid 90s there. Where a group of my friends from college would get together every Sunday night and watch X-Files. So that definitely was a big one. And then I guess I was like, what am I missing? And I was like, oh, I used to watch Friends and Seinfeld, and that was, Thursday,
Of
the must see
course.
TV
Yes.
Thursdays.
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty much, that's where my TV viewing was.
Oh, Saved by the Bell. Saved by the
Yeah.
Bell. We didn't mention that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And the
Saved by the Bell. I may be in the minority, but I think it's gained more love over the years. The college years.
Okay.
College years. I love the college years.
I remember, and I guess I was proven wrong, but I would say, when College Years went up against Full House, I was like, oh, the reign of Full House is over. All these kids who were young in the early days of Full House they're gonna watch. No, but
Yeah.
I love the College Years too. I agree.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think that was why did they even put it up against that? Like that's when you really think about it.
Yeah.
Again, I think this is more late 80s, early 90s. I remember Cosby and Simpsons were against each other.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was a big one.
That was like a big heated thing. Now,
Yeah.
God bless them. Probably like you guys, I was a TV geek
Hey,
right out of the fence.
Yes.
But you mentioned some other shows from TGIF. Step by Step, another show.
Mhm.
And this is the thing, like the world of streaming. We all know it, but kids today don't know it, and unfortunately, things just get lost in it. I think I don't even know where Step by Step lives now. I know it's not on streaming,
right.
but
Yeah.
it was like 8:00 in the morning on like some random cable network and stuff. But another good show on here. Here they all are.
Nice.
There they all are. Yeah, that was another solid show, and I think pretty much. I mean, with the exception, of course, of Suzanne Summers, unfortunately, I think
Mhm.
most of the cast this weekend.
Yeah.
Too. And another deep cut they're doing. Hey, Dude.
Oh yes. That's right.
My God, that is a deep cut show because again, those were the early days of cable.
Yeah.
So for us, I think Mickey Mouse Club, Kids Incorporated, that was, we all got a taste of those when like they would ever do like the free Disney previews.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that was a good way to like sucker all of us young kids in there. Oh, Lewis said Step by Step is streaming on Max. I didn't know.
Oh, there we go. It is interesting where shows end up or how you can find certain ones. I think I noticed Blossom, is it on Hulu? And Blossom might be on Hulu now. And I was like, oh, wait a second. I could go back and watch all of Blossom? What? But it's weird when they kind of just pop up randomly on these streaming services.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And though it's fun to go back and see some of those shows. And like we talked about some of these shows coming back. I think there's a place for so many of these shows to return. Like, I mean, geez, I have not seen it, but they did an Urkel Christmas movie this year.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Wow, I didn't know that either.
Well, a couple of years ago, there was a series called Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, I think it was called Scooby-Doo and Guess Who. And it was done in the original way, kind of the original way that they did the Scooby-Doo movies.
Okay.
Back in the 70s, like
Mhm.
Dillo, Three Stooges, and Batman. But Scooby was meeting all like recent people, like Bill Nye the Science Guy was on one of them, and Sia, and they did one episode where why Scooby-Doo meets Steve Urkel.
That is hilarious.
Wow.
Voiced by Jaleel White, and which then they did, and it's on streaming. I think you have to buy it on Amazon Prime. Warner Brothers has their own issues right now, anyways. But
they're knee deep in Coyote.
Knee deep in a lot of stuff. But I think it's streaming on Amazon Prime, because I don't know about you guys, I'm still a big fan of physical media.
Yeah.
I think that's thing, because otherwise things get lost. That's the big thing. But yeah, so Urkel Saves Christmas, and there's no other Family Matters people in it at all. It's just Steve Urkel and the Urkel, but he's back, you know. And then you had the success of Full House, you know, Fuller House, you know, Girl Meets World. How many seasons did Girl Meets World go on for? I did
three. I think it was only 3. Yeah.
They did 3 seasons. So I mean, there are a lot of shows that were good. Another one, as I'm just flipping through this book, Head of the Class.
Oh yeah.
That was a great, and another show that went to, I think the original Head of the Class might be on Max, but then they did a revamped or a new version of Head of the Class. Nothing given, but it got canceled after 1 season. It did not hold up. What are some shows from the 90s you guys would like to see return or visit?
We talked last year that, well, you know, I think like we're big. It's gonna take a while, but Cruel Intentions and like the I Know What You Did Last Summer. Like we want a Freddie Prinze Jr., you know, Sarah Michelle Gellar situation happening. 90s someday.
I would die if I saw Freddie Prinze Jr. That's all. I mean, I would, every photo op I would be for Freddie Prinze Jr. But yeah, like it would be cool to kind of see more of those movies casts come together. And I know some of them are, you know, certain bigger names still doing bigger things right now that maybe they don't have the time or whatever. But I'm trying to think what other
American Pie.
American Pie. Yes.
That would be really solid.
That would be really good.
Was that 90s? What year did that come out?
99.
Really?
Right on the end. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We were thinking of that last year. Like what other shows? I mean, it would be cool to see more of the Saved by the Bell cast, or more of certain other casts that you've only seen maybe 1 or 2 from, to like see more of the fuller casts from there. And yeah, it has been interesting. Were you at the one in Florida this year in Tampa?
I didn't go to Florida. Did you guys go?
Yeah, we didn't either. We missed it because we had plans to be there the weekend before, so we were there, and then we were like, no. But it's interesting to see, you know, who's ending up at which con now, and how they're moving people around. So,
I mean, I'm James Vanderbeek. That's another one.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
He should be.
And that's it too. They have 2, which is awesome. But it's like, I would like to see more of that cast. That would be very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, it's, you know, as you mentioned, like Cruel Intentions, and then you were mentioning Freddie Prinze Jr. and stuff. You know, it's interesting. And Jen, maybe, you know, maybe me and Frank are in the older range, of the 90s, right? And you're in the younger range of the 90s. You know, and it never even dawned on me when you think about like the evolution of television and movies. So the very beginning of the 90s, it was like your Full House, your Family Matters, your Saved by the Bells, stuff like that, you know. And then I guess, for lack of a better term, as the 90s went on, things got a little bit more mature, right? So you got your Dawson's Creek, you got your Buffy,
Party of Five, you know,
I would say like Sabrina even kind of teetered on it. Started off at that TGIF thing, but then got to like a little bit more of the teen angsty stuff by the time she had gotten to college, you know. And of course, Melissa Joan Hart started with Clarissa on Nick. But then, you know, and you're thinking about even reunions and stuff, but the evolution from these shows that we all grew up with, and then all of a sudden, I guess the late 90s, because I didn't even realize American Pie was 99, but there are I guess you would call them like your high school comedies or your teen comedies. So you're like your American Pie, She's All That, Can't Hardly Wait. You know?
Yeah. Oh, Can't Hardly Wait. Love it.
That's great.
Oh my God. Show me a whole cast of Can't Hardly Wait. I'd be so happy.
Empire Records, you did.
Empire Records. Yes.
And Things I Hate About You.
Yes. Yeah, there were these huge, like, coming of age. That was a big coming of age time, similar to the 80s with the Brad Pack and all of that. That was kind of like that time period in the late 90s of all of those movies coming out.
Well, the thing is all these kind of movies evolved from like these television casts, because you had your Jennifer Love Hewitt, well, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Melissa Joan Hart was a
Nev Campbell, yeah.
yeah. They
Yeah.
all made that transition into that, and like talking about cast reunions, that would be a fantastic, like some of those movies too. Matthew,
Yeah.
I mean, and listen, all these people are out there anyways, and so many of them are great people. Matthew Lillard, if anybody ever has a chance to meet Matthew Lillard, he is like the nicest guy in the entire world. He and I true story. I don't know if you guys ever met him. He has huge lines.
Mhm.
People are waiting for 3 hours, but if you go there with a kid, he leaves his table, or he sends one of the people that are helping him out, tells the parents, bring the kid on up. You don't have to wait because it's all about the Scooby-Doo with him in that regard.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Big heart on that guy, fantastic. But again, he's another great one.
Yeah.
So many great people.
Yeah.
Came from that generation.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'll just say I haven't met Matt Lillard, but I know a member of his family. But Matt Lillard, because I know you're close to the New York Ren Fair, but I worked for years at the Sterling Renaissance Festival.
Okay.
Outside Oswego, and Matt Lillard, when he was really young, before obviously everything happened for him, did a year there, and that that kind of training and that kind of interaction that they do, like it's not surprising at all to hear that he has that size of a heart,
bringing people in
and knows how to go out and grab people and bring them in. It just makes sense that he's that type of person. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. But now what do you guys think about all these like remakes or requels or reboots that are coming back? Because they're popular. Like you were saying, your kids are watching Girl Meets World. About Matthew Lillard and Nev Campbell with the Scream movies. Scream is, well, at least they had 2 new ones. Get to be desired. But what do you guys think about all these like requels or reboots that they're doing?
I'm like iffy with them. Like a lot of my initial reaction is usually like, nope, we don't need it. Thank you. Nope, we got it. Let's stick with what worked. I feel like some of the shows tend to be okay, especially with the idea like Girl Meets World or Fuller House, where now they're parents. And now, just like we related to them as kids, now we're relating to them as parents and adults and all of that. That kind of works a little bit more than, for me personally, the movies. Just when they want to remake movies or keep going, I'm like, can you just leave it alone? It really worked well. Just don't touch it. I like it the way it is. It's hard to see the change. Yeah.
Yeah. I think sometimes some of them do it right because some of them feel disconnected, I think. And then I'm immediately out. If I feel like it just doesn't feel like a natural progression of what happened, I'm kind of out. And nobody watched this reboot, I'm pretty sure, because it's only on Spectrum. But Mad About You did a reboot right before, I think it was in the fall of 2019. And I loved Mad About You. And this reboot did not get good reviews. But to me, it felt like a natural progression of the show. And it felt like, okay, this is how they would be. So I loved it. And that's just like my personal preference. If it feels like it naturally came from what it was,
right,
and you're not just forcing it upon us, then I'm okay. But it's few and far between these days.
The one that got mixed, I personally loved it, but it got mixed reviews. My wife was kind of like, she's like, this seems trite. I like Frasier. I thought Frasier was great.
I watched maybe I picked and chose. Yeah, that's a nice phrase. That's a very Long Island phrase. I picked and chose. But I watched, I think, the first 2 episodes, and then I watched the one with BB Newirth, and then I watched the finale, obviously. And I was like, okay, I could see, again, it's kind of felt like a natural progression, and they had elements that I liked, but I couldn't watch all 8 episodes.
There's only like 10, I think.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah,
they're short episodes, but no. But I thought that was one of those shows that made a natural progression.
Yeah.
Like you said, even like Fuller House.
Yeah.
How many Fuller House did 5 seasons or so, right?
I feel like it was 5. Yeah. Are you watching The Connors? Because we didn't talk about Roseanne at all from back in the day, which was huge for us.
Yeah.
But I I haven't really watched the Connors much, but then like clips will come up on my feed, and I'm like, I should watch this show.
Yeah,
Like,
agreed.
I still haven't done it really.
I get the you get the TikToks, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this is a good clip. Why am I not watching this?
Yeah. Weird.
No, so I was a fan, as all of us probably were. We all liked. Lewis said he liked Frasier too. How do we forget the Connors? I love the Connors.
Right.
I mean, first of all, before anything else, and and not the Roseanne aspect of it, but you got John Goodman and Laurie Metcalf, who are like huge actors in their own right. Great stars, and they're just super talented, which is great. But so I liked Roseanne. I gotta say, they were like 8 or 9 seasons when they were originally on. I would say by the end of Roseanne, and again, also I was getting older, so was I necessarily home watching TV every night? No, I was with my friends. But
but those early seasons of Roseanne are so good.
Halloween episodes. Always look forward to those Halloween episodes. And then a few years ago, then they announced that they were doing a reboot, whatever you want to call that. And so I was like, oh cool, I'll watch it. And I thought it was pretty solid. The one thing I think is so many cast members from Shameless are it's like the same kind of family and dynamic. Maybe not to the extreme. But it's just entertaining in that regard. And then obviously all this stuff happened with her, and like I honestly I thought the show was good. I felt bad for the cast because they were put into a really tough situation. So because I think they're in season 6 now of this new iteration. Counting the one season of Roseanne that they had done. I mean, listen, I think. Is it a show that, because that's the other thing too, is it a show that I would necessarily go back and do a rewatch of? I don't know. Because even like the old Roseanne, I don't know if I'd go back and I wouldn't make it a point to like binge it. But is it a show that I can spend a half hour every week watching? A friend of mine used to make fun of me because we were Star Trek fans. We used to play the card game, and I'd be like, oh, we're going to visit with old friends. But like, I never liked Roseanne show and never watched the Connors, Lewis said. But I think that's with a lot of this stuff, it's a comfort level. Because Frasier or the Connors, like we know these people, we're safe with them. Same thing with Tanners, right? We're safe with them. We know what to expect from them. And like you were saying earlier, Frank, if it doesn't seem like a natural progression, we pick up on it very quickly. So
I think with Roseanne, like to Lewis's point, I know personally, it took me a long time to like The Office. I know we're moving away from that, but like you had like on the surface, you're like, these people are not nice to each other. But once you kind of get those reveals, if you give it the time, and that's asking a lot of an audience, and you started to see how they were connected and really loved each other after a while, in both cases of those shows. Roseanne was more instant for me. I love John Goodman, so like that was an instant thing for me.
He's the best. He's truly the best. I'm just gonna say Dennis Dietrich, and he says, "Hey guys,
hello."
But John Goodman is phenomenal. I gotta say, not a '90s movie. Maybe it is a '90s. When did I loved him in Coyote Ugly?
Stop it! I love Coyote Ugly.
My favorite scene is in there because he's just being silly John Goodman at the end dancing.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
I think I wrote a paper in college on Coyote Ugly, the movie.
I haven't watched that. Maybe it's time for a rewatch of that. So another show from the 90s that I've been currently binging, and you can get it. You can buy it I'm going to give it a plug. Buy it $20 on Amazon, and it almost got a new series or reboot, whatever. Was Coach. What'd you guys?
Coach. Yeah, no, we watched Coach. Oh, and just the 10 of us just popped in my head too after you said Coach. Okay,
the Growing Pains sequel.
But you see, we were mentioning a lot of these shows. So many of these shows were ABC shows too.
Yes.
But you really think like they had such, like you mentioned, just the 10 of us, Growing Pains. They were actually up in Massachusetts at the Northeast Comic Con. Tracy Gold and Jeremy Miller were up there.
Oh, cool.
They did like the Growing Pains reunion, and I know just the 10 of us cast is like scattered. Bill Kirkenbauer, who played what Love Coach Lubbock. I forget what his first name was. But here, and of course, look. Of course, I had to make those phone calls. There they all are.
Nice.
There's the Lubbocks. But he's very active on social media. He's actually living over in Thailand now. But,
Oh wow.
I love he just posts and he shows like food and culture there. It's really good. He's just a very funny and talented guy. But yeah, that was another show, just the 10 of us.
Yeah.
And that had a life of its own after, because I think it was only on for like 2 seasons. But then they used to play. You guys are New York based, so you obviously we all watch the same cable networks. But USA used to play those to death.
Yes. Oh yeah, for sure.
Like the same shows over and over again.
One just popped in my head and now it left again. I don't know. Now all these shows are like just.
There's so many good shows. That's the thing.
Well, and just that with Coach, I think Craig T. Nelson, just the work that he has even done since then. Like Coach is a very rewatchable show that way. If you watch Parenthood or or just anything else he's been in, you go, all right, I'm just gonna watch Coach because you're getting Craig T. Nelson.
Well, and I mean, listen, are there some dated jokes in there? Of course. Are there some things that would not fly?
Everything, yeah.
But are there things that would fly not PC wise in Coach? 100%. The show went on for 9 seasons.
Yeah.
And so I picked up up where I live. We have again, I said social media, not so physical media. We have a library bookstore, and people donate their DVDs and their books, and so you can go and buy stuff for like $1. So I bought like seasons 1 and 2 of Coach, and I was like, I'll give this a go again. And I was like, this is fantastic. So I just bought the rest of the series. But it holds up. I think the jokes are, again, some dated stuff, but I mean, like you got him, you got Jerry Van Dyke, and you got Bill Fagerbach, and they're hilarious. Yeah. And so they were supposed to do a updated series. NBC was actually going to do it because it was produced by Universal, and it was going to be, because spoiler if you haven't watched Coach, at the end of the series, Hayden and Christine adopt a boy, a little boy.
That's right.
And ironically enough, the new series would have had his son is now coaching this failing team. Called that in to help. So I wish they would have done it. I think they shot a pilot, and for whatever reason, it wasn't picked up. So my brain is going. I'm now writing things down to be like, mention this, because to your just thinking about Coach and the remake that could have possibly been reminded me of Mighty Ducks, and then how they remade that, and which then got me on like, Mighty Ducks, Sandlot, all of those movies that were so big back then too, of just the team sport kid movies that I feel like they just did a string of for a while that would be cool to see at 90's Con as well. Well, for they did 2 seasons, right? What was that? Sorry. The new Mighty Ducks, wasn't there like 2 seasons? I think so. I think so. Yeah. I think I caught an episode, which Emilio Estevez was in the first season, I guess, not in the second season, right? Yeah. Yeah. And Lauren Graham is in it, and I love Lauren Graham, but I didn't watch it though. See, I did not know that. Yeah, it was Night. I'm looking at Night Court. That was another show. Yes. Yeah. You know, and it's sad. Like it's just the 2 of them that are left. Richard Moore, John Arquette, and Marshall Warfield. They're the only 2 that are. So, it's so good. I have a deep cut show that was maybe the Torkelsons. Oh, I remember the Torkelsons. Yes. And wasn't that was a spinoff of something, wasn't it? No. Well, no, because it became a show called Almost. Yes. They switched, that was it. Yeah, they switched the title and changed the family around a little bit. I think like, no one will know. It's fine. It's fine. Just go with it. Because I think in Almost Home, didn't you become like a housekeeper or something? I don't know what the heck. Yeah. Or did it start? Which one went to? I don't even know. I think did it do Torkelsons to Almost Home or Almost Home to Torkelsons? Now I don't even know. No, Torkelsons Almost Home, I think. Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's a deep cut though. Jesus. Yeah. Look, and look, we're getting. Lewis is saying those shows are getting my nostalgia. Yeah. I am. He mentioned a bunch of the Fox shows. Herman's Head. Yeah. Married with Children, of course. Get a Life. Oh, Good Grief. I remember Good Grief about the funeral home. Oh crap. I remember that. Wow. I think it was only late 80s because I think Larry Sanders started in 92, but that was it's Gary Shanley show on Fox when it was over there because it started on Showtime and went over to Fox there in the late 80s. But, Here, I'm gonna throw another deep cut, and this is a fan for people of the 90s. Actually, hold on. Before even more of a deep cut, I'm gonna find. I know I have a picture because actually I was showing this to my wife, and she's like, "What the hell is this garbage?" This does it give me a year on this? It doesn't give me a year. No, but if you were a fan of the 90s, and you were a fan of the 50s, 60s, 70s, who could forget? Hi, honey, I'm home.
Oh.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
There once a sitcom family on your black and white TV.
Yes.
Wow.
Right?
Talk about a deep cut show, right?
Oh my God. And literally looking at that picture, I was like, no, I don't think. Wait a second. What is this theme song coming to my head?
So Julie Benz, who is the daughter in that, went on to be Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Dexter, Angel, all that stuff.
Oh.
Right.
It's like one of first shows, and they filmed that down in the Nickelodeon studios.
Yes.
In Orlando, Universal
Yeah.
Orlando. But yeah,
Oh my God.
that was
things that live in my brain that I don't even know. It just
but you know what? You're gonna leave here tonight, and you're gonna go watch Hi Honey, I'm
yes. Oh
and
my God.
I'm gonna go. My favorite. I'm showing it to my wife, and it's the song. And listen, the song is fantastic. Was it Rupert Holmes who did the Pina Colada song?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
He's the one that wrote the theme song for Hi Honey, I'm Home. So you know it has that catchiness to it anyway.
Yeah.
But I think it's him playing the piano at the end of one episode. Because the gimmick, which I loved, Lewis goes, "Wow, I do not even remember that." Look that up online.
I didn't think I did either, but
The song. You knew.
Yeah, but here I am singing the song. Who knew?
I don't think we're gonna convince the 90s con people to do a Hi Honey, I'm Home. Julie Benz here, but for Buffy.
Yeah.
Not for Hi Honey, I'm Home. But my favorite part of that, again, because I'm a big TV geek, if you can't tell. Like be like, oh, you know, we're inviting a friend of ours over tonight. Oh, you know, the house needs to get clean. Who are we gonna call? And then there's like a knock at the door. Alice, come on in. Right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And the dad's best friend from like the club came over, and his grandpa from the Munsters. So they brought in all these great things. Yeah. But for anybody watching it about Hi Honey, I'm Home, my favorite scene, if you're an Andy Griffith fan or Gomer Pyle fan, Jim Neighbors popped in one episode, and the end scene, the couple Nielsen's or Dan, they're doing like a nice slow dance, and they're like, "Oh, we know this song. What is it?" And he's like, "Our theme song," right? And it's like they're just doing a slow thing to the theme song, and then Jim Neighbors comes in. He's like, "Matt, cut in his Gomer voice," and they just do this whole big dance number. And Jim Neighbors is fantastic in it. So everybody watch it. Throw that out there. It's good. But wow, that was another deep cut. I'm just going.
Yeah.
Wow. Here's another Nickelodeon show from that era. I don't know if you guys remember this, because again, Nickelodeon and Disney showed shows. Yeah. Welcome Freshmen.
Oh, Welcome Freshmen. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That like predated all that stuff when they were kind of doing a little bit of the sketch comedy shows. Where are these kids now? They're like our age. But other shows that deserve a reboot. What else do you think deserves?
Oh gosh.
If we were to go back, way back machine.
Now, well, I know a reboot or a continuation.
What's that?
A reboot or a continuation?
Well, how about a requel?
A requel, yeah.
Because Lewis is here, I'm gonna shout out News Radio, because I feel like that is a show you could reboot very easily. I know, but I think there's a story. I mean, I say that, and then Brown bombed, so maybe not. But yeah, I know obviously it struggled after Phil Hartman, but yeah, I feel like you still could have a show based on the news of today.
Yeah, well, I always thought like WK, even though not in 80s, in 90s shows.
Yeah,
I felt like WKRP would be able to I mean, then they did come back in the 90s. They had to do WKRP, which was very 90s.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's a show. Like I think like maybe Frasier will see Cheers again. Or at least some of those people again.
Yeah. It's so hard especially when some of these shows had such a big beat. Like Cheers, it's like so classic that it's like it could maybe work now, but then it's like Oh,
Yeah.
it have the same feel. I don't know.
Right.
It's so hard.
It's the difference. I mean, for me, I think about all the law, Law and Order still around, obviously, but I see like the medical shows on, and I always go back to like, are they as
Yeah.
good as ER and Chicago Hope were for me in the
Mhm.
90s? I don't know. I
Oh,
mean,
look,
I was pro Chicago Hope over ER.
Lewis just said
Oh.
WKRP and News Radio confused together to make a great show. That'd be great.
Mm.
I mean, unfortunately, like I think most of the WKR people are gone. The people who want to watch at least.
But that'd be great, yeah.
I don't know this one on. What's this? This may be the only group of people who might remember my talk show
Oh.
with Cynthia Stevenson. We're here in the where her living room was a TV show. I don't remember that show.
I don't, but now I'm gonna have to go down a rabbit hole about it later.
I don't know that show.
Yeah.
How about Perfect Strangers?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I was just gonna say perfect. Oh my god, yes, that was huge.
Perfect
That was big in our house, I think.
I think everybody loved Perfect Strangers.
Yeah.
But what are Larry and Balky doing now?
Right? And why are they not at night?
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like once in a while, Mark Lynn Baker ends up like back on Broadway, like in a small
He does.
role or things like that. Yeah.
Lewis said, "Now we do the dance of joy."
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, hey.
There you go. But yeah, so yeah, see, like I don't think Perfect Strangers would have a natural progression.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah, it'd be a little more difficult. Just
Yeah.
bring Ernie Sabella in to be Mr. Trincosetti and
Exactly. Well, because I think with that, because the show, and again, that's one of those shows that I think by the end of the show it was time
Mhm.
because they had married the two girls. Was
Oh
Mary Ann
yeah.
the two blonde girls
Yeah.
that were the stewardesses,
Yeah.
and they each had a baby at the end. So
Right.
what
That's so
more
funny.
could they do? But
Yeah.
Just as you phrased it that way with the two blonde girls, I'm like, oh, it's so Odd Couple, and I didn't even realize it with like the Pigeon Sisters from the Odd Couple.
yeah,
The play. Like I'm like, oh, it's kind of the same idea with the
Yeah.
but it's cousins instead, and
but that was the fun of it. Is like they were
Yeah.
like almost like that Odd Couple thing.
Yeah.
Once they got off married and had family, and it kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was
natural progression ends.
They're grandparents now.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I think if they did something new with like the Family Matters cast, that could have legs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think, especially that you had the different generations in that house to begin with, that could just continue very
Yeah.
easily. Yeah, especially that Fuller House had a good run. I don't see why it couldn't. I mean, I am surprised that they stopped Fuller House because I felt like it was doing well on Netflix. And I think it's so hard to, you can't really go through, or maybe you can. I'm unplugged, so what do I know anymore? But like it's hard to find like a good family sitcom. There's not too many at this point. Yeah. And so I feel like all these streaming services should be trying that out again. Like try to bring back the family sitcom dynamic and the stories, and whether that's through a requel of some sort or something brand new. I think they could get into it. I mean, my kids went back and watched Good Luck Charlie, which I never watched from the Disney Channel, and I'm like, oh, you guys like the sitcom format. I see it, and and then they got a little bit. They dabbled with Fuller House a little bit, and like I said, we're now. I mean, I don't know if Boy Meets World is really a sitcom. It's kind of sort of a sitcom, but yeah, it would be cool to kind of try to see if someone could really make a go of it again and bring those shows back.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I've heard rumors that there might be a nanny.
Oh yeah,
version of the nanny. So, you mentioned showing your kids thing. I showed my son this summer. We watched Alf.
Yeah, nice. I love Alf.
Every once in a while you hear rumblings about Alf coming back in some shape or form. I mean, I don't know what they would do with Alf now.
Yeah.
It always sounds like a good, even back then, like such a good idea, and then like, well, we're kind of limited in what.
Yeah.
So take a character like Alf, right?
Yeah.
Who was very huge back in the late 80s, early 90s. Everybody loved Alf. Alf was rampant, right? So you take, because Alf is Alf. Do you do a follow-up kind of series, you think, or do you kind of just retell Alf's story?
I don't know.
Or you just leave Alf alone.
Yeah,
Well, the other
Yeah.
thing is too, Alf's assistant, if you will, Paul Fusco, and he's been out there a lot. Ryan Reynolds, I think, is trying to actually restart Alf up somehow.
Oh,
But
interesting.
I know that Alf is his own persona, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's why, like,
This is just a weird connection I'm gonna make. But what is the show? It's on cable, but Alan Tudyk, and he's like an alien, but he's kind of the hometown doctor. Like just have Alf be like a detective solving mysteries every week. I don't know, like give him a job and
Right.
come
get him
on,
out in the world.
I would love
And that's
to.
the thing. I do think you could throw Alf into something and we will all watch it. So
It may not last a long time.
right.
I'll take 6 episodes of Alf as a detective.
Exactly.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, just make
Yeah.
6 episodes. He solves
Yeah.
6 mysteries. He does Peter Falk shtick as Columbo and call it a day.
Make it a little adult, because I think Alf could be for everyone. First
Right.
season of Alf, he was very adult.
Yeah.
Smoking and drinking beers, and then they had to tone it down because kids were watching Alf.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would totally do that. And I think because I mean, obviously, you guys being pop culture fans too, you know that the story you've seen, everybody's read the articles about, I guess, the conditions on Alf were not the best, because long hours and the holes in the floor and stuff.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess Max, right? Like the last episode was just like, we're done, bye. But yeah, and that was another show that they did try and bring back, though. They did that Project Alpha movie with Martin Sheen.
Oh, that's right. They did try to. Yeah.
And I think they wanted to do like a Sergeant Bilko-esque kind of show with Alf in like the government facility.
Oh, and I'll give one more. I don't know. I went to News Radio first because Lewis was here, but I was a big Sports Night fan as Aaron Sorkin's.
Another stuff.
As an Aaron Sorkin's first foray before West Wing just took off. West Wing technically started in '99, so but Sports Night, I watched that. I watched those DVDs like on repeat.
Robert Guillaume Benson.
Oh yeah, so good.
Great. I remember. Wow. That's the thing, is there's so many. We talk about streaming now and all the shows that are on there, but like, think about all these shows that we grew up watching.
Yeah.
Crazy. And I mean, again, another ABC show, right?
Oh yeah.
ABC was the place to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like then must see TV on NBC, that was the thing that to finally like compete a little bit with everything that ABC had going on. Of just like Thursday nights on NBC. They got it. All right. Well, that was their thing.
Well, here's the funny thing I thought about recently, or not recently, but in the last few years is, and I don't know if in your household it was the same thing. Again, because television was a family affair. We most houses, for the most part, at that point, some houses were dabbling with maybe a second or third TV, but most houses had one TV, so we're all watching the same thing.
Yeah,
I thought of another 90s show. I'm gonna go and grab TV and show you guys. Must see TV. Like, I remember Saturday nights, I would watch 227, Amen, The Golden Girls, and Empty Net, and like, going back and like seeing the Golden Girls as an adult, like, that's not really a show to watch with the kids. Right?
Oh yeah, totally. Because we both watch a lot of Hallmark movies, so we are always catching the Golden Girls.
They're not on Hallmark. Yeah, that's so true though. Like we slept over our grandmother's house, where I did more.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Talking about, because I'm in it. But you're talking about.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, every Saturday night, being over there and watching the Golden Girls every week. But yeah, I have gone back and like, or caught some clips or seen some episodes here and there of like, you're dealing with Dorothy's depression and her that she's just burnt out and dealing with doctors. I'm like, this is heavy. Or you're dealing with talking about contraception on an episode, and it's like, I watched all of these at 7
with grandma.
Yeah, exactly.
Grandma.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I went to grab this show. Oh, no, this wasn't Wasn't this 90s? No, this was in 96. This I dare to say this show was maybe 80s, late 80s. I don't even know if they give me a year on it. 19. Why does it say 96? This is definitely not. This show is not on in 96. But Rags to Riches.
Oh, Rags to Riches. Jen, you remember that show for
Do
sure.
I don't know what year it is
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Mm.
It was on like Sundays, right? Early Sunday
Yep.
nights.
7
And
o'clock Sundays on
yeah.
NBC.
And for like weeks, months, they ran commercials and it was, I love him, I love him, I love him, and where you go? And that was like, that's how they pumped you up to watch that show for weeks before the premiere. That's what I remember.
Oh, man, more rabbit holes to go down.
Well, and here we come full circle with this too, right? So you had Heidi Ziegler, who is a teacher now, who went on to Just the 10 of Us.
Oh, there you go. Oh my goodness, that's funny.
The youngest girl, Just the 10 of Us, and Tisha Campbell went to Martin and Little Shop of Horrors. I mean this was probably right before Little Shop of Horrors. You know,
That's crazy.
But boy, see here's the dorkiness of me. And you had Douglas Seal, who is Clapper the butler. He was the voice of the Sultan in Aladdin.
Oh,
Interesting.
I realized that. That's hilarious.
No.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be Googling a lot later
I
and be
know.
like, "Wait, what was this? What was this?"
You're gonna be looking at you. So now you're. I think from Frank, we got the song cues for you, Jen.
Yeah.
You're at home, and then you're gonna be looking for Rags to Riches.
Yes, exactly. Yes. My God, where are these theme songs living in my head? I don't understand.
Really, I hope I got that song right with the Rags to Riches commercial. I know I'm gonna go look for
it. I believe that was from the app. I could tell.
Probably on YouTube somewhere. Someone has that ad on YouTube somewhere. We'll find it.
I think it was from Foley. Was it Foley? No, First Love. I think it's from the episode First Love.
Right.
Because the gimmick with Rags to Riches was that it took place in set in the early 60s. Okay, fine. Set in the early 60s, but they did covers with new lyrics of a lot of the pops on. I guess were they pop songs? Whatever the songs from that era. So it was like a very popular thing there.
Joe Bologna, I think, was like the
Bologna,
leader.
Yeah. So he's good, and then he did. And so Lewis mentioned Married with Children. He was on a spinoff from Married with Children. I forget what what it was, but it was him. Wasn't it him and like Matt LeBlanc?
Matt LeBlanc was the kid. That's what I remember from it.
Wow. Jeez.
Oh,
wow. We have too much knowledge between the three of us.
Yeah. Just go into the files in our brains.
We're talking Frasier Cheers. How can we forget the Tortellis?
Oh yeah. Totally.
Oh, it's crazy. But you know, like you said, families. And again, we watched Cheers. Was Cheers really even a family show?
Right? Yeah.
Like, think about it, right?
No.
Yes.
Sam and Diane, and
Yeah.
Probably not a family show.
No, and I'm sure this happened in the 80s too, but as we dip back into the 80s. But a few years back, I binged Cheers for a while just to get myself reacquainted. And there's an episode like when Frasier and Lilith first get together, and they're on like a talk show or something, and they're just getting so heated on opposite sides of the talk show. It is one of they're just so. They're both so brilliant in that episode. So funny. Outrageous. Yeah.
Well, here's another fun thing, and I'm glad you mentioned we back to Frasier, right? So, and again, I don't know the. I'll share. I'm 47 years old. I don't know what your ages are, but we're all roughly around that same era-ish.
Older,
right?
Oldest.
Yep.
Older.
You're still the oldest. Well, obviously, Frank will always be old. Even if he's younger, he's older than somebody. So.
But what's funny is, so Kelsey Grammer, I think is 67, 68 years old now, right?
Yeah.
And again, this is probably a 90s thing, but God, you look back at the 80s and the 70s of the show. So when we first saw Kelsey Grammer on Cheers, right? I think I have a Cheers picture here somewhere. Kelsey Grammer on Cheers is supposed to be like 27, 28 years old.
Oh my God.
What the hell is going on?
Yeah.
He looked like he was 40.
Yeah.
At the time.
Here
Who is it?
Like that. He's supposed to be like 28, 29 years old. What the hell's going on?
It's a different time.
Well, it's funny. Like even like Archie Bunker and George Jefferson are all like in their more mid 40s. It's
right. Well, yeah. When they're like Archie was a World War II veteran, I'm like, wait, that's like 25 years before. So he's only 45, 46 years old on All in the Family. It's like what?
Crazy.
Right. It's crazy. It's just different form of television. But that's the thing is, like television, and I mean, I guess our era, that is classic television, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which is, I mean,
Weird.
wow, it makes us really seem old now, right? We grew up with classic television.
30 years from now, we'll be talking about how old all the Ted Lasso characters were. And
Yeah,
You're right.
exactly. Oh my God.
It's crazy when you think of all that stuff and
Seriously.
yeah, we'll all be 70 going to conventions to see the Ted Lasso cast. And
Yeah.
photo.
Yeah, exactly.
And we will be.
Yeah. Mhm.
Jeffers World Oldies TV.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Wait. So hold on. Lewis did some math. Wait. So Ted Danson is 76, I guess.
Oh my God.
So
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, but and when you think about it, these are like the people we grew up watching.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's crazy.
Well, and just because Ted Danson 76, because Richard Lewis just passed away at 76.
Yeah.
I was a big Anything But Love fan early 90s. Him and Richard Lewis and Jamie Lee Curtis. What was the name of that? Is that right? Anything But Love?
Lewis, correct. Danson is 69. Wait, is Danson 69 or Kelsey 69? Now I'm gonna go.
Yeah. Oh, he means Kelsey Grammer 69.
Kelsey
Okay.
Grammer 69. Okay, so yeah, and he's gonna be Beast again.
Yes.
How about that? That's craziness.
Yeah.
That age difference is crazy. What?
But I mean, like Kelsey Grammer doesn't look like he's 69 years old.
No.
Mm-hmm.
It's
wow.
I mean, but look at look how old the Golden Girls were all like in there, like late 40s, early 50s.
Yeah.
What?
Yep. Yeah.
It's like
I love those pictures when they put the different hairstyles on them, and it's like, oh yeah, they do not look that old with the different hair. Is it really just the hair that did it? What made them look so much older? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Empty Nest. That was another show.
Yes.
Oh, I like them. Richard Mulligan. He was great.
Yeah, he was very good.
Yeah.
David Leisure, Joe Azusa. What the hell is he doing now? Remember, he was all. I think that's probably how he got the part on that show.
Oh yeah,
so popular.
Those commercials are so big. I mean, we could go for another half an hour here on commercials. Of the time. So
we haven't even talked cartoons yet.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
The world in the 90s is just so it truly is a rabbit hole. I mean, listen, we talked about just like sitcoms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So anyway, so this weekend, I mean, look, we've been on for a little bit over an hour now. What's in your collection behind you? What do you got there?
So over here are my husband's Legos that he's been building. Over here, I have a lot of Disney ceramic figures from the 80s and 90s. That's most of it. There's a couple of Funkos, but it's mostly Disney ceramic figures from the 80s and 90s. And then this was a sign I stole. Well, was given from the exhibit where I worked.
And those are the iconic IKEA shelves, yes?
Oh yes, of course. Yeah.
Everybody that's a collector has those glass cases.
Yeah, I mean, they used to be on shelves everywhere, and it's like we should just put them all in this case. But now I keep like throwing extra things in there, and it's like, okay, maybe it's starting to look a little cluttered again. Okay, maybe I need more of these cases just lining a wall. I don't know.
Jeffers wants to know, will the thingamajig?
No, it's too heavy to take off the shelf. I can't do it again. I did that recently on a podcast. Also behind me here, there's a little Muppets. You know what? I'll get that Muppets thing because you'll appreciate that. But also the Funkos, the Back to the Future Funkos are on the top shelf, and there's some tiki mugs on the second shelf.
Nice.
And then I have the droids my kids built on the bottom there.
Hold on, I gave you a full screen. Oh, there you go.
Full screen. Oh my goodness.
Oh look, you can see the thingamajig right now.
Yeah, there you go.
There's Swedish Chef, beautiful.
Yeah,
I see. Now we're giving the tour of the toys here. Yeah. It's the kitchen. It's a great playset. The Palisades Muppet playset.
There we go. Oh, everything's falling back.
Nice.
Just to say that, I mean, I'm not going to bring politics into this, but Colbert the other night after the State of the Union, because the president introduced the Swedish prime minister, I guess, whoever, and so because it was Colbert, they cut to the crowd, and it was the Swedish chef doing his little dance in the audience, and I was like, yes, Muppets reference.
And listen, the 90s, Muppets Tonight was on ABC.
Oh yeah,
which was their
in the 90s, yeah.
That was their 90s. Yeah, they had the 2 movies, and then that was their in the 90s.
Yeah.
I remember Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks was on an episode of Muppets.
Yeah,
I feel like that was like one of my favorite ones.
Genre of music
Yeah.
up until he didn't do until the very end. He did Fiddler on the Roof and
all right, yeah,
all that stuff. See, why isn't Disney Plus showing this stuff?
Which you just you just said that again, I draw the parallels. There's a great of the original Muppet Show with Gene Kelly where they just want him to see Singing in the Rain the whole time.
Yep,
and then waits until the end. I'm like, oh, it's the same gimmick. Oh man.
So and Sandra Bullock was on there. Rick Moranis, like so that's the thing is like our kids will never understand like the things that we grew up around. You know, I think even like the nature of movies and just the talent is just it's good now, but it's so much different. You know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No.
So 90's Con this weekend.
Yes.
I don't want to keep you guys all night.
Yeah.
You can go on all night.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's a school night. No.
Yeah. Exactly.
But 90's Con this weekend. You guys will be there wandering around.
Yes.
Yes, come say hi.
Right?
Yes. Say that again.
You're gonna be there one day, right?
One day. Yeah, the first year we did Friday and Saturday, but the last 2 we've done just Saturday. So be there all day though.
Nice.
Yeah.
and who are your wish lists for this weekend now? So let's
So we do have some photo apps. So we do have a Marissa Tomei photo app, which is like, how can we not? How could you not? Because we can't miss out. And we do have the Pod Meets World trio photo op. To the first 90's Con, I waited on Danielle Fischel's line 3 times, I think, and never made it. And I was like, oh, maybe. And then I don't know what happened last year.
We were
tried
very busy
Alicia
with 90210. Oh yeah, we tried Alicia
Yeah.
Silverstone last year.
We tried her like 2 or 3 times, didn't get her. But so this year we have that one too. But I'm trying to I think it's gonna be cool that like Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis are there. Like, what? That's crazy that they're gonna be walking around. That's nuts.
That is good. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking, like you said, the Disney princesses are gonna be there.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple of them. Patrick Duffy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's Bobby Ewing. Come on.
Yeah. No, it's huge. Yeah.
No, you brought up Hey Dude earlier, right? Christine Taylor is gonna be there. Like, I loved her in the Brady Bunch movie. The Brady Bunch movie is an underrated movie of the 1990s. I never laughed so hard in a movie theater, I think, and and I wasn't even partaking in anything. I just laughed because I was such a Brady Bunch fan, and I think that movie is so funny. Like, it's crazy.
It made fun of what it was, you know. And
it was brilliant. I thought, really, if you knew all the things well, it was such a funny movie.
You know, just to go back to we were talking about shows that need to come back or have had reboots or requels. Let me just say, probably of all the TV shows that have ever been around, the Bradys have pulled it off.
Yeah.
No,
because you had your original Brady Bunch, the Variety Hour, the Brady Kids, the Brady Brides, the Brady Christmas, and then the Bradys.
Yeah.
And that Brady Christmas got such huge ratings that they were like, we gotta make the next, and then the show just was like, and then you go back and watch the Brady Christmas, and you go, oh, why was I watching this? It's awkward.
What the hell's going on? And Bobby gets paralyzed? Come on now.
Right. Yeah. And then I read it. They had kept up the show that Mike was going to die in like a helicopter accident. I read it was an unproduced script. I just read that a couple of weeks ago.
I mean, maybe the Bradys can come back as grandparents. Why not?
Yeah.
I don't know what they would call it. The Brady clan? I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
The Brady brood? I don't know.
Yeah.
Too many Bradys. That would be all.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jesus, so that's what they should call it. Too many Bradys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good title.
They did the home show during the pandemic.
That's right.
And
Mhm.
she's like, "Who the hell are these people invading my TV?" Like, she's like, she loves the home channel. She's like, Who the hell are these people?" And I'm like, "Brady's." So during the pandemic, I ordered the Ultimate Brady box set, and I
Mhm.
the Brady's, darn. And we skipped the cartoon, but we did watch the Brady Prize.
Oh my
Barry
goodness.
Williams was just on Dancing with the Stars last season.
Oh yeah, that's true.
They're relevant.
So-
Bring the Brady's
Yeah.
back. No. Lewis says no must Brady's. No must.
No mas.
Lewis, there's always room for Brady. Well, see that look, we've opened up another Pandora's box.
I know.
Yeah, we
They
can.
were, so they wanted to do something. Gilligan's Island did some reunion movies in the 80s too.
Mhm.
Right.
Did Rescue, Castaways, Harlem Globetrotters. Harlem Globetrotters and Castaways were kind of like backdoor pilots to do like a Love Boat kind of thing.
Right.
So 2 unproduced scripts for that. They were going to do the Brady's on Gilligan's Island because they're both short Schwartz programs. So that was going to be one thing.
Oh my
And
God.
then they were going to do Murder on Gilligan's Island.
Oh my god.
And it was going to be, the guest stars were going to be like Columbo and a bunch of those, and somebody was going to get killed. And the TV, like Perry Mason and Columbo, were going to work with the Castaways to figure out who the murderer was. So
my
Oh my
gosh.
God.
I would have watched them all. I would have loved them all.
Yeah.
So
Sounds like there's some
They
audience.
can't do a Love Boat reboot right either. They've tried so many times, and then in the age of when they repeat the same Hallmark movie, no matter, just change the character names. 7,000. You could just follow the Hallmark model to make the new Love Boat, would you please?
watch a new Love Boat.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
Cruises are still relevant.
Yeah.
They could do an episode where everybody gets sick.
I think
Yeah.
they just tried to do it as like a reality show recently.
I think they did.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that's right. And you
Yeah.
say recently. I think that has been a while already. But
Oh,
yes,
no.
you're right in that.
I think it's 2019. It's 2020.
Right. Exactly.
We're all getting old. It is what
Yeah.
it is. See all these shows. Goddamn. Yeah, listen, guys, we need to do this again. We
Yeah.
need
Yes, for
to
sure.
do another topic and just stroll down
Yeah.
memory lane of television shows. because
Yes, for
this,
sure.
This was a hoot tonight. This was
Yeah.
I don't even know where we could go to
Yeah.
next. There's
No,
many,
I mean,
many
yeah,
things.
we there was a lot we didn't get to, but I think
Yeah.
in the end, like all those shows we were talking about that came before the 90s, like, and then it just kind of allowed for this like perfect little time capsule that stuff in the 2000s doesn't replicate the 90s. The stuff in the 80s, a little bit, but yeah, it's that coming of age stuff that happened a lot through
Yeah.
the 90s. It's really its own little thing, and I think that's why it has the nostalgia that it does.
Yeah.
Well, that's something, and I'm just thinking 80s because 80s was kind of closing out like the 70s.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When you really think about it, because like a lot of your 70s shows were coming to their end then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like Jefferson's Archie Bunker's Place. They
Yeah.
were Three's Company. All those
Right.
70s shows were
Yeah.
Right. Happy Days. Yeah.
Mhm.
and then it brought in the new era of things, and like we went from like Happy Days. Because what year was Roseanne? Probably like 88, 89. That's when
Yeah. Right around there, probably.
Yeah.
Late, yeah.
Happy Days
think
ended
so.
like 80, when you think about Happy Days ended like in 86. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
wow. Crazy.
Crazy.
No,
I love TV.
it's like,
Yeah.
be watching YouTube clips all night of 90s.
I know, right?
So for everybody who's watching, come to 90s Con this week. You'll see Jen and Frank there. They'll be wandering around meeting celebrities. I will be around because my group is running the Incredikids section there. So we're going to be doing cool events all weekend for kids. We got Tyler Green, who is a special effects makeup artist. He was on Sci-Fi Face Off. He's going to be there. Michael Grazia, who's a cartoonist. Allison Keller, who's a fantasy artist. And Rich Maruzio, who did artwork for Animaniacs, which is great.
Nice.
So he's going to be there. And then Jeff Brennan, we have a panel on one night. Jeff Brennan, I'm going to just give him a shout out. He did a lot of work, Extreme Ghostbusters, Courage the Cowardly Dog. So he'll be there doing
So cool.
some artwork too. So 90s Con celebrity wise, but there's cool merch, there's cool artists and stuff, and cool people. So So my friends from Dillo's Diz podcast, and anybody who's watching that's not a subscriber of theirs, go subscribe to that. And those of you who don't subscribe to me, subscribe to me. But thank you so much for thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
We need to do this more often. This
for sure.
is like what a rabbit hole we went down. Watch some Hi Honey, I'm Home, and we'll dissect.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
do a whole rewatch.
there you go. The catchy theme. So everybody, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time on IncrediChat Live, and they'll see you next time on Dillo's Diz podcast. So check that out, folks. Have a good night.